Hi everyone. She's probably high here once again. And today's show is very special because I'm going to be having my first interview, which this person is an amazing person who has helped the community in so many ways that you can't even imagine. She is an author, a survivor, and an activist. And now I'd like to introduce my guest, Jeneen Miller. All right, guys, Jeneen Miller, author of the book Pieces of Victory. Hey Jeneen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sabrina. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I gotta say, it's been a pretty good day.
Good. I'm glad you're having a good day. I'm having a great day too, and I'm super excited about the rally that is going to take place in Missouri. I am going to be there on the 14th and 15th. Amanda Householder, who is a survivor of the Circle of Hope Girls Ranch, is putting this together. And I'm so proud of her and many other survivors that are supporting Amanda and all of us. There is definitely power in numbers. There's going to be media attention, political support. There are going to be families of survivors at this rally, and I'm very, very excited to speak at the rally. I'm not very good at public speaking, but I'm going to speak from my heart, and that's all that matters, and prevent child abuse in teen programs.
Yes, exactly. So can you tell us a little bit about the rally and where the location, what it's specifically for, and basically is this like a protest?
We are calling it a rally, so these are good questions. We're calling it a rally, and it'll be at Cedar County in Missouri, and survivors of all across the U.S. will be there. And you know, this of course is an international problem, but any survivors are welcome. And there is going to be Agape survivors, Circle of Hope survivors, Lighthouse survivors, Victory Christian Academy survivors. They will be there supporting us. Rachel Walls, survivor of Lighthouse, will be speaking. I will be speaking. I'm a survivor of Victory Christian Academy, which in essence is the same thing. Amanda Householder will be speaking. She's a survivor of Circle of Hope Girls Ranch. There are other places that are open. There are other places that are open, such as Agape Home for Boys and Masters Ranch in Missouri. So this is definitely going to stir up a lot and make a lot of noise.
You said Agape's ranch?
Agape, and that's a boys' ranch.
Can you tell us a little about what's going on at these places?
Sure. It's very similar to the places that we are survived. The same scare tactics. At Agave, it's definitely physical, spiritual, and emotional abuse going on over there. They are beating up the boys over minor infractions. And first of all, you shouldn't be beating up boys no matter what. It's child abuse, and these people need to be prosecuted. They are beating them down on an emotional level, making them feel lesser than, and also to God. And it depends on the type of place. This particular place they're taking on the flag of Christianity. Masters Ranch, they're abusing the boys at that ranch as well. There is someone who is a staff there that he was head of the Lighthouse in Florida, and they got that closed down. And instead of prosecuting him, he's free to work for somebody else and run a place.
Can you believe that? Like, these people are hurting kids. And I just want to point out, these are lockdown reform schools where people are sending their children there because they think that these places are going to help them, when in fact it's destroying them. And that's why we have these survivors coming and rallying against these places.
Exactly. And Paris Hilton is a survivor of Provo Canyon. I did an interview with Rachel Walls, and she's a survivor of the same school that Paris was locked in, and that's regulated by the state. We're trying to pass legislation to provide oversight in these programs because obviously there is no oversight, and there are some, unfortunately, that have state oversight and the state is not doing their job. And I don't want to just point out Utah. It's everywhere. It's Louisiana. It's Indiana.
Yeah, didn't you say they just closed down a school in Indiana?
Yes, it's the. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes,
it's the Hephzibah House, and it was open for 5 decades. What is wrong with this?
5 decades.
What's wrong with this country? So 5 decades. There were numerous reports on child abuse. It was on CNN. Anderson Cooper did a thorough investigation on it, and then Dr. Phil ended up being the final straw, get parents to open their eyes in, and closed it down because of the reputation that they were getting. Not because anybody was prosecuted, just because of their reputation, media attention.
Does that mean these people are still walking around with us?
Yep. Yes. Our justice system needs some serious cleanup. It's sad that we've done our due diligence in making reports, making rape reports. There was a serial rapist, I'll give you an example, at New Bethany. And I was on a show with James Swift, Netflix, season 2, third one down, Cult of Torture. And he was in a conversion therapy. So we're not just fighting against reform schools, conversion therapies, boot camps for kids, wilderness camps, you name it, rehabilitation programs. You get the idea, the troubled teen industry.
Yeah.
And really, the people running these places are more than troubled. They need to be behind bars. They need to be behind. Demented. They are.
And okay.
So James Swift told his story on Netflix, and I supported him. But that is New Bethany. So here we have a serial rapist, Sabrina.
At New Bethany.
At New Bethany, and staff too were part of it. Sex trafficking was going on. They were sodomizing boys and girls, and yet this preacher was free all of his life until death. And his name is Matt Ford, so I can say it. He's dead. And then...
Oh, is this the one that also ran your school?
No, but I'm glad you're connecting the dots. This is a sister program. James Swift, New Bethany, is a sister program to the Hephzibah House, Circle of Hope Girls Ranch, Masters Ranch, also Agape, and Victory Christian Academy, Lighthouse, Genesis by the Sea. Those are just rebrandings. So I'm a survivor of Victory Christian Academy. It's all connected. Those are all connected.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the man that ran your school and actually a lot of other schools? And what was that religion that they were under?
I'm so glad you're asking these questions. These are very good questions. So, Michael Palmer is the mastermind behind Victory Christian Academy, Genesis by the Sea, and the Lighthouse. It was also in the newspaper. You can visit piecesofvictory.com, which is my website, and scroll down to the very bottom. There are numerous articles about Michael Palmer. The Tampa Bay Times was the final straw to close down the school. That's my opinion. Shortly after that, the school was closed down, but again, nobody was prosecuted. These are Lester Roloff homes, and Michael Palmer used Lester Roloff as a guideline to run this school. Lester Roloff started these schools, the Home for Girls, I believe in 1968, called Rebecca Home for Girls. And then it branched off into other schools such as New Bethany, Hephzibah House, Victory Christian Academy, Lighthouse, Genesis by the Sea, Agape. You get the idea. I could go on. There are schools connected.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to pinpoint religious schools. There are religious, non-religious, unlicensed, licensed schools out there that are still abusing our children today. This is not an attack on Christianity or any other religion, but an attack on monsters, and I always like to say that on the show.
Of course.
The religion,
for sure.
Back to the religion.
Yeah.
They were independent fundamental Baptists, and I didn't even know what that religion was at all. It was nothing that I've ever experienced before.
I know. I actually I went on YouTube and I saw other survivor videos stating how in this specific type of religion, and there's good religious people and there's bad religious people, but the way that they use this to make what they're doing okay and seem presentable, to everyone.
Definitely, and especially on a spiritual level. Again, when I had gone into this place, I was a strong Christian. I had a good relationship with God, and then suddenly I'm questioning my salvation. And for a preacher to do that and to make someone feel that they don't even belong in society or to God, that's really sad.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about Michael Palmer.
Yeah, Michael Palmer.
The one running mine, and then Mac Ford is the one that was running New Bethany. And then Lester Roloff is the master. He's actually the mastermind behind all the the Roloff schools. Lester Roloff is the mastermind behind all of these schools.
Oh wow! And then once he died, they kind of just
branched out.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now, so who else? Like who's running? Now that he's gone, is there someone else that took his place? Do you know?
Yes, anyone who's living, I try to leave their names out, but you can look up Agape, you can look up Masters Ranch, you can look up any of the history of Victory Christian Academy, but I can say Michael Palmer now because he's deceased. New Bethany, Mac Ford is deceased, so I can talk about him and how he got away with torturing kids. Nikki Stover is someone I interviewed, and she was pregnant when she was at the school, and she didn't find out until she had an exam. And it was very seldom that these kids are taken to get medical attention. There's so much medical neglect.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant, and they were flooring at the school, and they floored her, and she lost the baby. And you know what they said? It was God's will.
Wait, what does that mean, floored?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Flooring is when other girls, it could be other girls and staff at the school. And by the way, they were teaching girls and boys to abuse each other. And that was part of the whole program.
Yeah.
So the higher you go, the more you're able to abuse other children. And flooring is when students or staff will just take another student and slam them to the ground and pin them down and hold them down there for hours. And they can be screaming. And when they're screaming, they'll get more time. Or if they cry, they get more time.
Being held to the ground.
To the ground. Yes. And so that's what they did to Nikki Stover, and she lost a baby. And as far as I'm concerned, that's alleged murder.
It is. It is.
You know, they're preaching about how we should not have abortions. What was that?
And then they said it was God's will.
And they said it was God's will on top of it, which is very damaging.
Wow, very, especially for someone like now that's going to be in your mind your whole life. And oh my God, like just throwing her to the ground.
It's traumatizing. And then to lose her baby while she's locked up in this place. These places are worse than minimum and maximum security prisons. I have done comparisons on juvenile hall. I've called up juvenile hall in California, and it sounded like Camp Snoopy compared to what I experienced at Victory Christian Academy and juvenile hall in California.
Oh, yeah.
In juvie hall.
Yeah, in juvie.
Yeah, and you have to commit a crime. So I never, most of these kids get thrown into these places have not committed a crime. In fact, my personal story, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I had good grades in school. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. And I didn't even smoke. And my parents locked me up in a reform school.
Yeah.
So basically, parents can just sing their song, pay money, because this is $1 billion industry, by the way. And I feel like
it's $1 billion industry?
And I feel like that is the big problem. It's $1 billion industry, and whenever there's money, there's corruption.
Yeah. And I guess that goes into play a lot with the human trafficking going on in our country as well.
Exactly.
Because these schools, like the school that Jeneen went to, that she told me, well, that she says in her other interviews on YouTube, is that she couldn't see her parents for 3 months. Like, you're putting your kids in these schools that, and like, she just mentioned those 3 schools that are still around. What were the names of those?
Sure, I can tell you. It's Agape for boys, Masters Ranch in Missouri, and also Provo Canyon is still open, and it's been open for 5 decades, and no one is prosecuted. There's been numerous reports.
So that's the one in Indiana, right?
Actually, Hephzibah House is in Indiana, or was. That got closed down after 5 decades. Okay.
Yeah.
And now we have another. It's so confusing because
The
Hefzibah House and Provo Canyon have been open for 5 decades. Provo Canyon in Utah. There's so many. That's probably why you got confused. And that's sad that there's so many. And honestly, what we're talking about right now is just scratching the surface. There's over 100,000 of these types of camps in the U.S. today. That are open.
100,000?
100,000. That's including everything. Wilderness camps, rehabilitation programs, conversion therapies. It's still a problem.
What? Even mental hospitals.
Exactly.
Well, just from like my experience, my brother go through that. Like he always the trauma. There was actually Vista. I forgot the name of this mental hospital. It was
it'll come to you.
But they actually got closed down here in Vegas because of all of the abuse that was happening to the kids that were being put in there for mental illness. And you know what? When my brother went there, they actually should have never given him any medication because they were pumping him with medication. And then the violence there, when my brother came out and he told us like how the way they would abuse him and the other kids and like forcing them to stay in like a room by themselves.
That's awful.
And then that damages your brain.
Isolation. They're putting kids in isolation.
And isolation therapy, just like
exactly. And children should not be put in isolation. There are other ways of dealing with the situation. And honestly, like I said before, we were put in isolation for minor infractions. Like, for example, my friend Jody Hobbs, she was put in isolation for 2 weeks for forgetting a pencil. Really? Do you know how damaging that is?
At what school was this?
That was Victory Christian Academy. She was there when I was there.
Jody Hobbs. She's the one who
founded Survivors of Institutional Abuse.
Yes. Okay. So she's someone that I would really suggest looking up, Jody Hobbs. And Jeneen actually has an interview with her as well on her YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you so much. You remember so much. That's
well, awesome. I've been trying to do my research because
you have been doing your research.
These kids, like, if their parents are putting them in here, and like I've said in the previous, like, sometimes these parents, they don't realize the things that they're doing. But when you open up your eyes and see that these things are happening and that we, as a group of people, we can make this difference. We can go to these rallies. We can make legislation.
Right. And
the
media attention is very powerful. There's going to be media attention at this rally. And like you said, legislation, we're going to have political support at this rally. I can't get into detail about that political support, but it's very exciting, especially when, as a survivor, we get discouraged. We see a bill that we're trying to pass, and then it doesn't pass, and it stops in the Senate, and it's very discouraging. And
especially when it's a bill that should be just like
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It should be a no-brainer to have state support, to have oversight. Regarding legislation, again, we need oversight in teen programs. And since 2010, it was introduced by George Miller, and then it was reintroduced by Adam Schiff. We need to contact Adam Schiff and bring this to his attention so the fire doesn't die out. And really, it's up to us to make this happen. And I feel that they will work with us if we keep on speaking up and being active and making phone calls and getting media attention.
Yes, and spreading the word. So like if you share this like on your story and you let all of your followers know, and whoever sees that, they watch this and they see this and then they share that, and then on and on and on, that gets around. And when it goes around like wildfire, that's when change happens, guys. And the best part is, and I don't know if you've watched the Hunger Games, but there's more of us than there are of them. And like, we need to stop like closing ourselves off and feeling scared and make this stand. And that's why we're doing that. That's why I'm doing this interview, and that's why we're making this video, because these kids need to be saved. And
I agree. It's going on today as we speak. Yeah. And as a survivor, I feel it's my duty. It's my duty, and a lot of other survivors feel the same way. Every day that goes by, that there's a place open. And we've made a lot of headway. The Hefzibah House has been closed down, but there needs to be prosecution. There really needs to be prosecution. It's not over. The Circle of Hope closed down because there was a lot of fire under them. Media attention. They were starting to get media attention. So that's great. Were they prosecuted? No. New Bethany. Were they prosecuted? No. I can go on and on. Victory Christian Academy. Were they prosecuted? Lighthouse? No.
And they abuse children physically, mentally, sexually. And nothing was done to these people. Like,
and so they're free to keep on abusing. They'll just rebrand. They'll rebrand another school.
Just like,
or become an employee at someone else's reform school or rehabilitation program without a problem. Nothing's on their record. Nothing is on their record. They're free to abuse more children.
And walk this earth. But now, granted, I don't.
Here's the funny thing: if I mention a name,
yeah,
and if I don't say allegations, guess what happens to me? I'm sued, or there is a repercussion for me. Okay, and I'm a survivor, and I'm telling the truth. And here they are abusing, raping, sex trafficking,
fear mongering,
malnourishment, and they're getting away with all. They're getting away with it.
They are, and that's why we need to stand up.
Do you know that there's a couple of lawsuits against survivors?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
actually.
There's a couple of lawsuits against survivors, and yet the perpetrators aren't the ones that are getting a repercussion. What is going on with this country?
Oh my God, that's so true. Oh my God, and they're being sued, I'm guessing, for slander.
Right.
Because they decide to come out and talk about their violators, and wow, yeah, oh my God, that's so awful.
It's sad.
It's
so really sad how our justice system is. It's messed up.
And I just want to repeat again, if you go that Netflix episode, because a lot of us have Netflix, so if you go to Netflix, and what was the name of that show?
Sure, I'm glad you're going over it again.
Yeah.
It's Cult of Torture. It's the second season, Netflix. Second season, Netflix, third one down, Cult of Torture. And I'm there supporting James Swift on the show, by the way.
Yeah, and James Swift, oh my God, he is such an inspiration. The stuff that he does in New Orleans, helping kids that are homeless and getting through all of that. I'm serious, go on Netflix, watch it, Cult of Torture with James Swift.
And if you need to get a hold of James Swift, please visit his website, which is help4teens.org. Help, and then the number 4, teens.org. He is helping the homeless kids that have been kicked out for being gay and have nowhere to go. Please talk to him. If you're a parent and you're thinking about sending your kid to a lockdown conversion therapy or a reform school or anything, please get a hold of James Swift. He has other alternatives for you. Also, Liz Ionelli as well. If you can get a hold of Liz Ionelli, and I'll give you that information, she has other alternatives as well. Heal-online.org. They also are a great information resource regarding helping preventing child abuse in teen programs. So please visit them as well. There's so many alternatives for parents that are contemplating sending their kids to these places.
So many. And even and I'm just going to talk about from my experience, even if your child, or if you're feeling depressed or anything, and if you see your child, for instance, and you think, let's just put him in a mental hospital, there's something wrong with him, talk to them, get perspective. And then there's people out there counselors and therapists that would love to help you, people like us that we would love to help you, love to.
And Sabrina is talking from, if you don't mind me interjecting, she's talking from her own personal experience. Her brother suffered mental illness and was put in one of these places that were abusive, and her brother.
They give you medication. Like, why is it always drowning people with medication? And obviously, pharma, they want their money, but that's where we need to share our kindness and open up ourselves to realizing that we are all in this together.
I agree wholeheartely. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Do you have any other questions?
Let's just tell them everything going on in Missouri. For anyone, please share this. Get out the rally that's going on in Missouri. Once again, where is it? And what time is it happening? What day is it happening?
Sure. It's going to be on the 14th and 15th. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the website that they can pull up the exact details on. But it is going to be Cedar County in Missouri. I will be there. I will be speaking. Amanda will be speaking. Rachel Walls will be speaking. There will be definitely media attention there, political support, as I said earlier. Super excited about this. This is going to be very empowering for many, many survivors. And I believe that, obviously Paris Hilton is going to be behind us on this. So very excited about that as well.
Very. And again, you said the 14th and 15th?
14th and 15th.
Of this month.
Next week. This coming Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, this coming Saturday and Sunday. If you are anywhere near Missouri, I'm also going to in the thing, or I always forget the name of it, but I'm going to include all the websites from everything that we talked about today, all the website to get to the rally. I'm going to include where the rally is happening, the dates once again, and the location, like exactly where in. Where you said
Cedar County.
Mm-hmm. So that address, I'll include that.
Yes, we have the address and everything, and we'll go ahead and put together a link.
Yes. So please, guys, if you're anywhere near there, go support. Please support. So thank you for listening once again. I am She's Probably High. This is Jeneen, author of Pieces of Victory.
Thank you so much, Sabrina.
Thanks for being on my show. Thank you for being my first interviewer or interviewee. Thank you.
How much of did you have, honey?
Well, I am She's Probably High. All right, guys. Peace, love, unity, and always respect. Hope to see you in Missouri.